Hi, my name is Abigail Hagen, and today I will be discussing the ethical use of information in education. My presentation entails the use of information you encounter as a teacher in the classroom. What does it mean to be ethical with information presented as a teacher? To be ethical when dealing with information is important, especially in the education field. As a teacher, you have access to many sources of different information. We all know how many different sources of information we have access to. We have access to things such as student information, student records, school and district information, curriculum information, and information that we're able to access from the internet to improve our instruction in the classroom. All of this information that we are provided should be approached with ethics in mind. With being a teacher and having access to all of this different information, we should always be mindful of the information that we are discussing with others. Being ethical with that information involves keeping personal information confidential and making sure that the information being used and shared is credited to its original owner. As teachers, we are always taking external information from the internet to assist us in our instruction. With this information that we are gathering from the internet, we need to make sure that every source we pull from is being credited. The three main topics I will be talking about in this presentation is avoiding plagiarism, citing your sources, and the main one is protecting student data. All three of these topics are essential in the education field. The first topic is avoiding plagiarism. Avoiding plagiarism should always be on the mind of both the teacher and a student. There's a reason that as students we are taught not to plagiarize. This is because in the career fields you choose as an adult, you are always taking information from the internet and from someone else's writing. As teachers, we are consistently pulling information from different sources online, whether that be curriculum sources or random online sources that we are using in our instruction. Teachers should always take precaution and make sure that we are avoiding plagiarism at all costs. Tips to avoid plagiarism include keeping track of where you get your information, whether this be a website or a book or whatever online source you are acquiring the information from. Keeping track of this information is essential in making sure that you're crediting the owner. When writing information, we need to make sure we are paraphrasing or quoting our sources. This is to ensure we are not using our exact writing or referring to the owner's work as our own. We need to cite our sources. This is to ensure we are crediting those who we get our information from. I'll discuss this information in the next slide. When we are writing, we should be using plagiarism checkers such as those I've shown on the right side of the screen. This will help to ensure we are not unknowingly plagiarizing. These tips should also be consulted when using AI, since AI is programmed to take information directly from online sources as well. My next topic is the discussion on citing your sources. This is extremely important when you're taking information from the internet. Citing your sources is essential when you're pulling information from any source, whether this be curriculum or just the internet in general, where most of us get our extra information. The information you're accessing always has an original owner. So it always has someone that has created this information and written it for you to inform you. To make sure this information is credited to its rightful owner, we cite our sources. So to make sure that we're getting this information ethically, we need to make sure that we give credit to its original owner. So to cite sources, there are multiple formats that you can use. The most common are APA and MLA. Most of us should be familiar with these citation formats because that's what's normally used in college courses. There are other formats, however, they are not as common. Some individuals know how to write these citations by hand, but most people use online sources to write their citations for them. Using these sources to write your citations for you is a great way to cut your workload and to make sure that your citations are correctly written. In this slide, I have included some logos of the most popular citation sites for reference. This includes sites such as Citation Machine, EasyBib, MyBib, and Scribr. If you ever need help writing a citation, this would probably be your easiest route to make sure your citations are correctly written. Lastly, and in my opinion, the most important slide is about protecting student data. Protecting student data is a teacher's main concern when it comes to the ethical use of information. We have access to a major source of student information daily, and it's not just student information that we have access to. It's also school information, district information, and curriculum information. As teachers, we need to make sure that this information is not shared with those who do not have access. There are two main laws that protect student information legally. However, there are multiple laws in effect that teachers and school staff have to follow to ensure student safety. The two main laws that protect student information are the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. As teachers, we're very informed on these laws. We know them. These laws protect student information such as test scores, enrollment records, personal information, grades, schedules, educational plans such as IEPs and 504s. This can also include things such as medical information, behavioral information, and even more. There are other laws included in this graphic on the slide that include the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. This discusses collecting data from children under the age of 13. There's also the Children's Internet Protection Act, which discusses schools and libraries protecting children from harmful online content. With this act, we all know that we do not have access to children's online presence at all times. However, we are entitled to protect students from harmful online content in our supervision. This also includes the Protections of Pupils' Rights Act, which discusses parental consent for any surveys that contain political, sexual, mental state, relationships, and religious information. There's also the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. While this is not widely discussed in schools due to it being more of a medical information defense, teachers should be aware of this law due to our access to students' medical issues and information. This graphic also allows us to see that 40 states have passed student privacy laws, and many state departments of education have regulations as well. This means whatever state that you are in may have different laws pertaining to student privacy, and that should be further investigated. As teachers, we are always encouraged to refrain from speaking about students outside of those who do not have access to their information, and I believe this is the best way to protect students' privacy ethically. Thank you. This is a list of my citations and where I pulled some information from for this presentation.